It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Sproles, ends yes! Caught! Touchdown! Did he get it?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on in. It's another edition of the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker talking about what's going on in sports. Always love to hear from you as well. 435-339-0321. And it just the hits just keep on coming, Jason.
Yeah, it's I guess that part of the year where things start going downhill a little bit, where it's that kind of yearly dread of the transfer portal when you look at the team and say, all right, who's leaving? And for basketball, 2 years now where there's been the assumption that a lot of players are going to enter the portal because of a head coaching departure. Kind of got lucky in football. The Aggies weren't hit really hard at all, barely scratched by the portal.
Yeah.
Really got away with it there. Even with some of their star players sticking around. Guys with borderline NFL talent. Or some have NFL talent. They maybe because they borderline going to the NFL this year. I'm mostly thinking of Jalen Royals when I say that. that guy's got NFL in his future.
Yes.
Maybe Ike Larson if he keeps developing. He's got a bit of a longer trek. But today, I think just the last couple of days, there was this kind of calm before the storm, and I saw some people saying, "Look, nobody's entered the portal yet." No, they keep checking in on 24/7 Sports and On3 and all these other transfer portal sites, and they're seeing there's a blank spot. Nobody's entered the portal, and then Landon Brenchley jumps in. That was expected. He was not expected to come back anyway, and he's also a walk-on, so. The fact that he entered the portal, it was just surprising to me that he's still playing basketball and that he's just planning on going somewhere else. And obviously, best of luck to him. But today, a bigger gut punch as far as, on-court production that the Aggies got was, of course, the hometown hero, as he gets called, Mason Falslev, where he enters the portal, I think it was this morning or kind of early in the afternoon. So just a few hours ago, really. One of the better freshmen in the Mountain West. Of course, you have two freshmen of the year, national freshmen of the year candidates, and Dayton Thomas and JT Toppin. But Mason Falslev, even though you had those two guys rocking it out all year, Mason Falslev won a couple of Freshman of the Week awards. Averaged double-digit scoring as a freshman, which is hard to do, and it's hard to do, starting on a Mountain West championship team. And, being a key scorer for the team as a freshman. And the fact that he's now entering the portal, big blow. A lot of fans are clinging to hope that, some guys enter the portal and come back, and they do.
It happens.
But we're just going to have to, at this point I'd say, assume they're gone, be happy if they come back. But maybe that's more of a philosophical thing. I don't know. It's the don't get your hopes up philosophy, but not everybody wants to go with that, I guess choose how you're going to live. I'm going to go one way. I'm going to assume he's gone, and if he comes back, all right, we'll roll with that. But until he comes back, we'll assume he's gone.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's just the world of college athletics right now. You can't even keep the local homegrown heroes. Now, granted, Mason originally committed to Utah. Then he switched and came to Utah State, redshirted a year, played a year. As you said, he's a hometown hero. He's a great player. Kids are cutting their hair to look like Mason Falslev. Great performer on the court, great representative of the university and of Cache Valley. But just uncertainty. And so you go where there is certainty and probably where there's even a bigger paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, all of that, he wants to be in control of his future, and entering the portal lets him be in control of his future. More in control than he was last year. Because honestly, if he had tried to enter the portal last year, he may not have even stayed Division I. Like, he may have had to go down a division, maybe to a lower mid-major school. So, he really didn't have much of a choice except to stay last year.
There's no college film on him.
Yeah, and, he hadn't really played basketball for like 3-4 years. But this year he's proven that he is a very capable player, good defender, a lot of scoring potential. 11 points per game. Without much of a jump shot, he was a okay catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. He had his moments where he was able to hit a couple in a game. But, as a freshman, there's just so much room for him to grow in that area. And as a mid-range shooter, add a floater to his game. Like, there is a lot of room for him to grow, and an anticipation that he will eventually fill in those gaps in his game with how much time he has left. So, and that's and the fact that he's, again, the homegrown talent, that's what makes this so much more frustrating. That he's the first guy that enters the portal, is one of the guys you kind of felt like had a big chance to stay. Now, again, he's not 100% gone. But you enter the portal, that means you have some intention of likely leaving.
Right. It's seeing what's out there.
Yeah, it means you're probably leaning toward leaving.
What's my market value right now?
Yeah. Like, if you intend on staying, you don't enter the portal.
A number of texts coming through, and if you want to weigh in, we always love to hear from you. 435-339-0321, even if we're all commiserating in our pain and frustration together. 8968 says, "Hi, guys. As you know, I've always been an Aggie fan. Goes back to the late 50s, early 60s to the present time. Not much of a sports fan, especially nowadays. With what went down this last few days and going down now, I want to throw my hands in the air and give up. It's not fun anymore. I will always be an Aggie fan, but I don't know how much I can follow any team."
Yeah, it's hard. It gets really hard. Now, mind you, somebody made a good point on social media. I'm trying to remember who it was. That this same thing kind of happened last year, where like everyone's like, "Oh, we're not going to be interested in sports anymore. We're not going to follow the team." And then the Aggies were good, and everyone fell in love with the team again. But I guess now doing it again, I don't know. Maybe it's worse this time around, because maybe there was hope that things were going to change. Maybe that's part of why people are excited, is that, okay, things are actually going to change. We're not going to have a year-over-year change, have to rebuild every year. We're maybe going to have a coach who will stick around for a little while. And then they had that ripped out from under them. It's like, I can understand that fans are frustrated, and I feel like, I don't know, is it, just how this thought came to like it, maybe a good thing in the long run for fans to get increasingly frustrated, because the more frustrated fans keep getting, and the more things boil over, the more likely there is to eventually be some kind of change.
Yeah, the system is broken right now.
And that's the thing is, and so the more frustration there is, and that will eventually make its way up the ladder, and as the bigger schools start to get frustrated as well, that's when some change can potentially happen. So this is probably going to be the darkest time in NCAA sports as far as like, how crazy things are. Mind you, it's not really a dark time for sports because the ratings are as high as they've ever been. There's as much money as there's ever been. So, like, in that sense, it's not really a dark time for the NCAA. But for fan enjoyment, it's really rocky. Because, everything it comes to you in 1 year chunks. Because every time you have a good season, there is zero guarantee you will have any of that coming back. You don't know if your coach is coming back. You don't know if your players are coming back. And so everything is just in 1 year chunks. It's like, okay, this is a new team, and then you root for Utah State, and then it's like it's an entirely different Utah State. And fans aren't used to that. You're used to having like 2 or 3 year chunks. Because that's kind of been what college sports has been, because everyone's here for 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So you get about 2 or 3 year chunks with the same group of players, some slight overlap. But now it's just 1 year team, next year completely new team, and every offseason is a mystery. Every offseason is, keep using the term roller coaster. I'm going to keep using it until I come up with something better.
Yeah, well, and I might get the eras slightly off here, but for Utah State, it was, Tony Brown and Troy Roll, and then it kind of rolled into Spencer Nelson, and then there was J.C. Carroll, and there was Ty Wesley, and there was Nate Harris, and there was Brady Jardine, and so there were these. It would transfer from one kind of group to the next, but there was some holdover, there was some continuation, and it was just a handoff from one to the next. It wasn't like, bam, new era, bam, new era, bam, new era. And those are only like 2-year, even 1-year chunks now.
Yeah, and so it gives a fan whiplash, and it also gives the idea of like, you get into March, and fans are trying to enjoy a Mountain West tournament run. Well, Mountain West Tournament Championship, a potential tournament run. Obviously, that didn't pan out as well as fans hoped, but then NCAA tournament win. Those are the seasons that you remember. But in the back of everyone's mind the entire time, it was, well, is it going to last? You had to confine yourselves, put on blinders, say, I'm only living in the moment. I can't think of anything else. Which is hard because a big part of college sports, and really about sports in general, is think about now, but also looking toward the future a little bit. Like, hey, we have this team, we're living in the moment, we're cheering this team on, but hey, prospects of the future, they can get even better.
Right, yeah. What did we learn from last year from these players, and how much more exciting, how much more hype can we put behind them coming into the following year?
Yeah, because we talk.
But it's almost impossible to do that anymore.
Yeah, you talk about the growth of Mason Falslev, Osborne maybe come back for another year, but you can't do any of that. You have to assume that every single team you have is a group of mercenaries, and you pray that you have the ones you like back. And it's so radically different from what people are used to, and that's why you see so much frustration. But I think there's going to be a lot of people they'll start to stop focusing on college sports because it's not fun for them. Like, a big part of what makes college sports fun for them, when people come, they listen to shows like this where they want to hear people talking about, and interact, talk about the team right now, the team's prospects for the future, and you can only kind of do one of those things. You can talk about the team right now, and you don't know what they're going to be in the future, and you can't enjoy right now because you're always worried about the team, a great team you have just collapsing into the void and then not having any hope for the future. Now, again, the roller coaster analogy is kind of fitting at times because we're going on the downslope right now, but then we're going to go on the upslope. We're going to have a new head coach. There's probably going to be excitement over that because if they continue on the trend they've had in the past, they'll probably hire a decent-looking candidate who has some good history, good winning, so there'll be some excitement for that. And then they're going to bring in some transfers. You'll get excited over those players. And it's just this up and down, this whiplash. And I think what has been made evident, though, is that the fan base is there and eager to cheer on and support a team that gets out there and plays hard and can win games. There's an expectation that that whoever it is here, coaches, players, they play at a high level and succeed at a high level. Yeah. And I think one thing, 8968 sending another text, how many more times can you be jolted and keep coming back? You hit the nail on the head. It's money that moves so-called amateur sports. And I think that first of all, probably how many times can you be, jilted, spurned? Like, how many times are fans going to go to an introductory press conference, hear a coach talk about the history and the tradition, and hear the players say how much they love the Spectrum and love the fans and they couldn't dream of playing anywhere else, and then by the next year they're gone. And those coaches are marveling over the new gym that they're in, and the players are marveling over the new jerseys they have and how fun it is to play at the new spot. Like, those words are going to get more in, they're going to just, they're not going to have that same impact because, when guys like Danny Sprinkle or Craig Smith or Ryan Odom, all these people talk about tradition and Spectrum Magic, they get standing ovations because, that's what we want to hear.
Right.
But then as people realize, they're just blowing hot air.
A number of texts coming through here from 9315 pointing to an article in San Diego about their assistant coaching salaries. One of their assistant coaches left to go to be the new head coach at Long Beach State. I do not know how much assistant coaches make in other Mountain West institutions.
Those don't really get publicly made because usually a head coach gets their salary and then they get an allotment to pay. Now, I think you can find that out, like if you request it.
Yeah, I think you can make a grandma request and find that for any public institution, but I don't know what. And I'm not going to make a grandma request of Colorado State to find out what their assistant coaches make, or New Mexico.
I don't even know if I want to do it for Utah State.
Yeah.
I'm not even that interested.
Then sharing a screenshot of Devin Tompkins. This guy went in and right back out of the portal, so less anxiety for me.
Yeah. He's the guy that really tested the waters.
Track record.
He was looking for somewhere closer to home. He was looking at Power 5 offers. And, of course, I don't think he was necessarily getting, this is kind of like right before NIL started to take off. So that wasn't really an impact. So for him.
Yeah, he was sold on Blake Anderson and his vision.
Yeah, he was more sold on coming back to Utah State than he was on going to a Power 5 school and being kind of another cog in the machine and maybe not being able to be himself. So he was obviously enjoyed his time much more at Utah State and valued that above maybe trying to end up somewhere that would have been closer to home and maybe would have been a step up in, the level of football he was playing. And maybe Mason will make the same decision, but then again, Mason's probably going to be having some six-figure offers thrown his way. Six-figure offers that he's probably not getting at Utah State. So, and that can make up a lot for a young man.
Even if it is still in state.
Yeah. And we'll see. Is he going to end up going to all three of the top universities?
It's very plausible. And then how can a university up ticket prices when there's no promise of better teams each year? Will this mean no ticket price increase, go cheaper, or they do and no one buys tickets? How can this benefit any university?
Up and down with ticket prices, they monitor supply and demand. They know when their team is good, when their team is bad. If they think their team is going to be bad, they'll lower the ticket prices. When they find out the team is good, they jack up the prices. The Utah Jazz do this all the time. When their team is good, prices like double and triple. So you'll probably see tickets be a lot cheaper, or at least they'll be fairly cheap at the beginning of the year because there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, and they're going to be trying to get people in the building. And that's just to try and sell all the tickets because it doesn't help you to sell fewer tickets even if it's a higher price. You're making the same amount of money.
Right. Now they want people in the building.
Yeah. So they'll be offering a bunch of packages.
It'll depend on who the hire is, right? And how many what the roster looks like. If turns out a number of these guys do stay and it's an exciting coaching hire, then they don't need to really adjust those ticket prices.
Yeah, that's
they
true.
Shouldn't.
It does depend on how much hype there is and whatnot. And so that can be kind of it's a tricky thing for them to maneuver, but it's their full-time job. They know how to do this.
6543. Jason, please give us your overall opinion or observations about the Mountain West and NCAA tournament this year since you were there in person. For both, what grade would you give the Mountain West team's performance in the NCAA?
So, thing is, I don't know if I saw every team's best. Like, as far as if I looked at every team and I asked, what's the best I ever saw each of these teams play at? I feel like the only team that really played at their peak was New Mexico. And then looking into the NCAA tournament. So I don't know if I really got a true impression of all the teams at the NCAA tournament in person. But, or in the Mountain West tournament. In the NCAA tournament, I don't know. Like, if you look at each team, like the ones that lost, like Nevada, Nevada and Colorado State and Boise State, like it's tricky to navigate those because you feel like that's an incredible disappointment. Because I expected Nevada to win, and they didn't, even though they're the 10 seed, and then they blew a big lead.
Huge lead.
Like that feels one where it's like you want to give it an F right away, except that they were leading, and they were kind of playing good, and they just blew it at the end. And then Colorado State, they won a play-in game. They blew them out.
Yeah, they won the first four.
Then they lost to a good team, in the round of 64. Boise State's probably one of the most disappointing ones because, again, it's not them playing in a 10-7 game and losing kind of like Nevada. It's you lost a play-in game where you're theoretically equal with that team.
And so many shots at the rim that just didn't go in.
And so for me, that's probably one of the biggest true disappointments because they were a team that really should have won and didn't. Nevada I know betting lines they were kind of supposed to win, but again, it would be a chalk upset. I don't know what's it. Chalk upset isn't really a phrase. I don't know if that makes sense, but in terms of chalk, they weren't supposed to win. They nearly did. So they are a disappointment in the fact that they had victory in their grasp and they lost it. And then Colorado State, that's probably about what you were expecting. So Boise State's probably the biggest disappointment. Everyone else, you're not happy with the fact that they lost, but it's not a huge surprise that they did.
So I would say Boise State was a frustrating loss. I felt bad for the Broncos. I mean, so many bunnies, layups, everything at the rim. I mean, they had so many opportunities in the paint, second chance opportunities that just didn't go in. That was a really frustrating loss for Boise State. Nevada, frustrating that they had that collapse after having that big lead. But New Mexico is my biggest disappointment.
Yeah,
that's a team that was so hot coming into the tournament, and they just were so flat and just did not have it at any point in that game on, what was that? It was on Friday when they played.
Yeah, and so that was the thing that was kind of weird with me because I mentioned that I picked them to go to the Sweet 16, and that was based off the fact I thought they were hot. But the thing is, my gut reaction, initial thoughts that I ended up texting to a friend of mine was that I thought they would lose in the first round because of burnout. Now, I talked myself out of that position, so I'm not going to give myself too much credit for having that thought. But that was something that I had in the back of my mind that it could happen. You think, okay, they have all the momentum, but so many teams get really hot, and then they just flame out.
Sometimes a full week off like that can really cool a team off if they can't recapture it.
You can almost look at the Aggies in 2018, 2019, that first year with Craig Smith, where they won the Mountain West tournament, and then they laid an egg against Washington.
Yeah.
So obviously that was, I think, disappointing. To me, it was but again, that was a game where they were kind of supposed to lose. Even though I picked them to win, they were kind of supposed to lose. The fact they lost as bad as they did, that's where I can see that's a bit of a disappointment. But yeah, overall, I think for the Mountain West, probably an overall disappointment, but not a major disappointment. Because you had the Aggies win, and for most of the Mountain West teams, it's disappointing they lost, but they were kind of expected to lose. So it's not like a letdown. It's just a bit of a disappointment. And then obviously you have San Diego State still rolling because they can't stop facing double-digit seeds in the first and second
you
round.
got San Diego State in the Sweet 16. Utah State, Colorado State also won their first games. I think that we saw teams that were single-digit seeds win in their first rounds. And I think we saw teams that were underseeded have moments where they could have played better, did play better, but weren't able to pick up wins. So, yeah, there's 6 teams. The selection committee had that much respect to get 6 teams in, but not enough respect to give them the seeds that they probably deserved. But in the end, Mountain West is up to 10 units, which is insane.
Yeah.
With a chance to get more. It's going to be hard to get one more.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that with the fact that only 2 teams made it to the second round, this is already just about as much success as you could maybe hope for, the 10 units. But if Nevada gets that win over Dayton, you'd probably call this a resounding success.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though only half of them would have advanced at that point. So again, kind of an overall disappointment, but not a massive letdown. And plenty of success to be excited about, and obviously a lot of money coming to the Mountain West relative to what it's gotten in the past.
Yeah, the bigger disappointments for me, the Boise State and Nevada had opportunities to win, should have won. And then the biggest frustration, those were frustrating losses, but the biggest disappointment was how New Mexico played.
Yeah.
We've got to take a time out. Still more texts to get through, more of your reactions. The big news of the day today, Mason Falslev has put his name in the transfer portal, joining his high school friend, Landon Brenchley.
They were different schools.
Different schools. They were competitors from different schools, but they were
play
friends.
Against each other?
Oh, yes. Yes, they did.
I can't remember.
But doesn't necessarily mean that he's gone, but he has put his name in the portal, which means he is going to be heavily recruited with all those years of eligibility and his talent and upside. So still more to react there. Love to continue to hear from you. 435-339-0321.
Girls, insist he take you to Jarek's. Picking out your wedding ring is an experience you will never forget. Come to a place where the mood is right and the setting is perfect for romance. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan. The perfect collection of memorable designs, classic creation, and modern marvels. If you want an intimate, romantic experience you will never forget, then insist he takes you to Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's at 930 North Main in Logan.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Life is good. Life at My Mattress is good too. Why might I say that? Because today is a good day to slay a Goliath. The other day I went into a mattress store here in Logan that has 2,500 stores across the country. I'd say that's a Goliath. We were 20% less expensive on every bed that we both offer. We may not have 2,500 stores, but we are number one in Cache Valley. Better product and better prices. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
She was there for you on your first day of school and all those special moments since. Now, Mom needs you. When Mom or someone you love needs home health or hospice, give them the care they deserve. With core values of character, experience, and trust, see why we have been voted Best of Northern Utah. Contact Aegis today, 435-723-9000, or find us on the web at myaegis.com.
You've been putting up with a dirty, dusty wood stove for years. Why haven't you changed it? Go to Advanced Fireplace and Stove in Logan. Look through their showroom for ideas on Quadra-Fire pellet and wood stoves and Heat and Glow gas fireplaces. They have several demos in place so you can see firsthand how your project will look. And you can trust the pros at Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They'll do the job right. Advanced Fireplace and Stove, 752-7272. Online at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Hey golfers, are you ready for the golf season? Birch Creek's punch passes are on sale at the spring sale price, currently at a $40 discount, and are on sale through March 31st. Visit birchcreekgolf.com and purchase your punch pass online. Birch Creek's punch passes never expire and are valid 7 days a week. So if you love golf, call Birch Creek today or visit birchcreekgolf.com and purchase your punch pass at the spring sale price. That's Birch Creek Golf Course in Smithfield.
Finding effective and affordable insurance solutions can be stressful. This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. As a kid growing up, my father, Gordon, took care of my insurance, and I knew I never needed to worry. I was covered. I've continued to provide that same service for my clients at Quality First. My team of experienced agents work hard to ensure every customer gets the help they need. Let's sit down and take the stress out of your insurance. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. If I'm not mistaken, now don't quote me on this, but if I'm not mistaken, Mason Falslev and Landon Brenchley played AAU ball together. They went to different high schools, but so when they competed in high school basketball, they competed against each other, but in AAU, they competed with each other.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, they're both very good players. In high school, Mason had probably a little more athleticism to him, and that's probably why he got recruited a little higher than Landon did. But yeah, both in the portal. Landon looking for kind of a one last stop to play his final year of eligibility. He deserves to actually get a place in basketball. He was basically the human victories car this whole season. When he got in, that meant the Aggies had definitely won. And so a chance for him to go out and finally play some ball, which is obviously something he really loves to do. He didn't get to do a whole lot of it outside of practice.
Yeah.
So you really like to see, I don't know if I would say I'd like to see these transfers, but you like to see guys getting opportunities. And this will be an opportunity for Landon to go somewhere and do something that he loves.
Yeah, there's the transfer portal. When you say those words, more often than not, it has this really negative connotation about it, right? Everybody's like, ugh, transfer portal. Guys are leaving. It's a dirty practice of recruiting players away from their current places. But there can be some real advantages to it when there's guys that they're just not getting the opportunity. They know they're not going to get the opportunity to play, and they just want to play. Look at Shimon Zapala. Probably could have stuck around here. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he wouldn't have. Maybe he would have been. Maybe he was coached to the transfer portal. But here's a guy that wasn't really playing that much and sought an opportunity to play more. He ends up at Longwood and plays a lot. He gets a lot of opportunity, which he probably wouldn't have got anything close to that opportunity even if he had stayed.
Yeah, he would not have played very much at all on this year's team. So it was better for him to make that decision to leave. And a lot of the players who left last year's team, pretty much everyone ended up having as good or better of a year, better situation. Some of those guys, maybe it would have worked for them on the Aggies. Like you think of guys like Stephen Ashworth and Bairstow and Shulga. It's like they didn't need to leave.
No.
But look guys like Z Hamoda and whatnot, like they managed to break out on their next teams in ways that maybe they wouldn't have on this team if they'd have stayed.
And there really only was one guy who transferred up, and that was Ashworth.
Yeah, pretty much. And like he had a worse statistical year, but I don't think he's complaining about his worst stats.
No. A couple more texts coming through here in the Full Court Press text line. If you want to weigh in, 435-339-0321-9952. I think it's a big disappointment for the Mountain West this year. So much hype was made about the conference, and it was an opportunity to show Mountain West teams can play.
And I think that's why I lean toward I feel like it's close to that kind of neutral where it's like, okay, they weren't really good or bad. Like I lean just toward the disappointment side of that, where it's like you got 10 units, you got 2 teams that advance to the second round. There is still a Mountain West team playing ball right now, and not a lot of conferences can say that. But you did have some teams underwhelmed. Boise State underwhelmed. New Mexico. It wasn't just that they lost, it's that they were underwhelming in that loss.
Yeah.
Colorado State, you probably end up neutral with them. They won a game. They won, the play-in game. They lost the first round. And they weren't particularly impressive. So maybe you lean towards slight disappointment for them because they just fell flat in their first round game. Then Nevada, again, that one's kind of weird because it's like super disappointing, but they were also supposed to lose. So it's that kind of, it's only super frustrating because of how close they were to having it, and then they lost it.
Yes.
Like if they'd have been behind the entire time, and how much did they end up losing by? It was only a few points, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty close.
It's like if they'd been behind the entire time and lose by 4 or 5, whatever the margin was, it wouldn't be nearly as frustrating. It would have been a lot like the Boise State game, where it was a relatively close game and they just lost. Nevada's is really disappointing because they were so close, and then they just completely blew it.
Yeah, in Utah State, they win their first round.
Yeah, there's
the Mountain West Conference regular season champ wins the first round, gets to the second round, faces a number 1 seed that looks like it could win the national title and get blowtorched.
Yeah, I know. Despite Mark Ziegler's comments, the Aggies were not a disappointment in the Mountain West tournament. They were fine. They won a game, and then they lost.
Beat a Big 12 team. It's not like they beat some lower division, small automatic qualifier.
And they kind of roasted that Big 12 team. Like, it was a team that finished 7th or 8th in the Big 12, and they beat up on them. It was like, yeah, you're 7th or 8th in the Big 12. We're the Mountain West champions, so of course we're better than you. And they beat up on them.
Yeah.
And then
looked good doing it. Did not squeak by, not by some lucky bounce. They won the game going away.
And then, you go up against the best team in the Big Ten, the best player in the country, and they kind of rolled over and died in the second half, and that's really where that giant margin came from. Because for about 12 minutes, the Aggies were going toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah.
But the clear depth and talent gap showed up eventually.
Yeah. A couple more texts. 8968. I can't blame Brenchley. First, I never feel bad for Boise on any occasion.
I don't think anybody feels. I think a lot of fans may have been rooting for Boise to get a win for the good of the conference. For the good of the
conference.
But nobody was that upset when they lost.
And then I can't blame Brenchley for leaving when it got down to all he wanted to do is play basketball. Bless him.
Yeah, I kind of wish that his older brother Jackson Brenchley transferred out of Utah to go play at Denver this year and had a decent year. And You kind of wish that Jackson had another year so like they could go be a package deal somewhere and play together. Because I don't think they ever got to play together. I think they were separated by just a little too long.
Yeah, I think that's right.
To where Landon like graduated in like 2021 or 2022, and Jackson was like 2016 was his senior year, I think.
9315 stole this off of social media talking about yesterday your guys' thought.
Oh yeah, it was.
I don't know.
It was somebody. It was because kind of got a transcript where Danny Sprinkles on an interview. I forget who this interview was with. Oh, it was Field of 68, I think it says. But basically,
I guess various timestamps of what they talked about.
Well, yeah, it's a transcript and it has a timestamp on the transcript, like sentence by sentence.
Oh,
and it was actually somebody texted this in and mentioned this, and I hadn't seen this yet, and so I wasn't. And so I didn't realize that this kind of been said. It was basically Danny Sprinkles saying that he told his guy, like, when he left Montana State, he told them to stick together and, like, stay at Montana State. That's kind of what if you parse through the awkward format of that. You can see, like, he said, when I left Montana State, like, we told those guys to stay together. Because I really think they would have won the championship again, in my opinion. Which, funnily enough, they did win the championship again. The conference tournament. But, yeah, the idea being that he told the Montana State guys to stick together. And I don't know if he'd do the same with Utah State, but the funny thing is he took the two best remaining eligibility players on that team with him. It's like, why are you saying that you told your guys that when you clearly took two of the guys
Well, he later says in this transcript, we can't recruit players until they're in the portal.
Bull crap.
Then once they were, then that's when they went after him.
Bull crap. I don't buy that.
I don't buy that at all. There's so much behind the scenes.
Like, I struggle when I talk about
offers from programs all over the place.
Yeah.
Why do players go into the portal a lot of times? Yeah. Because someone's already whispering in their ear, if you come here, you'll get ... Yeah.
And it's like, I struggle because there are times, like, I talk about these coaches being genuine in some other things, but there are things where they are blatantly talking bullcrap. And this is one of those things, because it's obvious.
Mason Falslev, what were his averages for Utah State this last year?
Mason?
Yeah.
Like 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 to 4 assists. No, probably only like 3 assists, 2.5.
So impactful player as a freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a starter. It's somebody with still a lot of eligibility. He'd be a hot commodity.
Oh, by the way, I've been told that Landon Brinchley was a freshman on the 2016 Ridgeline team that Jackson played for. So apparently they're on the same team.
Ah, okay.
May not have played very much, but it was on the same team.
Okay.
So barely overlapped there.
Yes, there's still a chance that Mason stays. But this is probably the smart. This is something to do when you're not sure what the future holds for your current situation with the coach.
Yeah, you mentioned like it's smart. It's taking control of his future. It's frustrating for a fan because it runs contrary to the fan interests, but runs obviously right along Mason's own individual interest. Like, there's competing interests. Fans want all the good players to stay, and all the players want to have, they want the best situation for them. And in a lot of cases, those lines can run parallel, but you get to these situations, and with the transfer portal, those lines are running in different directions. And that's where there can be a lot of this frustration with fans, and then that can clash with the player, and that's where you get ugly social media messages.
Well, even consider Falslev's own journey as a basketball player. Originally commits to Utah, goes on a mission. There's uncertainty there, poor performance at their place, and so he changes his commitment.
Oh, he didn't change his commitment because Utah was a bad team. He changed his commitment because the reason he committed to Utah wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, there's a coaching change. And so then he changes and commits to Utah State, sits on the bench under Ryan Odom. Then there's another coaching change. It starts as a freshman, a true freshman, even though he's an old freshman. He's a true freshman. Starts for Danny Sprinkle, and now Sprinkle's gone, and there's another coaching change that's going to happen, one way or the other for Mason Falslev.
Yeah, and that's the thing is he can either choose his coach or have his coach chosen for him. And entering the portal allows him to choose his coach, choose his destination. be it Utah State, BYU, or any other number of states or universities, and technically states, or universities.
Yes. 2305, before we take another timeout, Coach Sprinkle
I think ought
to consider a generous donation from his new salary because of the chance Utah State gave him to be successful. That would really show loyalty to his former coaching job. Doubt it will happen, though.
No, it won't, but you don't. I don't know. Eric, have you ever donated to your previous jobs?
No.
No, I haven't.
No, they gave me the hands-on practicum. They improved something on my resume, and an opportunity to move up to a better position, full-time opportunity. But I'm grateful for the opportunities in those previous places, but sending them checks, no.
Thing is, Danny has also actually already sent a check or will send a check to Utah State.
Yeah, that's true.
The funny thing is, and some people pointed this out, is that he will technically, granted, the funds for him to do this have come from Washington, but he paid Utah State for the honor of coaching there.
Yeah.
In terms of net money in and out.
He is responsible for the buyout of his contract.
Yeah, which Washington pays that for him, but
there'll be his name on the check.
Yeah, so he has paid Utah State more than Utah State has paid him.
That's funny.
So he kind of did donate to him. Donate's not the right word, but he kind of did.
435-339-0321. Other teams around the Mountain West Conference, have other teams been hit with the transfer portal? Any other key stars or significant players in the Mountain West that may be on the way out? And what about other coaches? And we talked about possibility that Nevada, New Mexico, Colorado State, their coaches are on the market, or maybe other teams are looking at them to fill some of their vacancies. And are they going to be on the move as well? So we'll continue to look at that next here on the Full Court Press.
Elements has delicious lunch specials. Soup, salad, and bread for just $10 is tasty and quick. Elements lunch menu is full of scrumptious items. Wood-fired pizzas are an excellent choice that include barbecued chicken and the bee's knees. The fresh battered halibut fish and chips with seasoned fries is always a hit. And don't forget the fan favorite, Chipotle fried chicken sandwich. Thursdays, enjoy Elements house-made smoked brisket, casual or professional. Open Monday through Thursday, 11:30 to 8 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11:30 to 9. Visit theelementsrestaurant.com for reservations.
Do you have a backup generator, or have you explored the options of adding one to your home? Generac backup generators will keep your home or business safe and cool during the summer months if the power goes out. Do you already have a system? Golden Spike Electric can service it for you. If you don't have one, Golden Spike Electric can find the right model for your needs. Find them online at gsegenerators.com or call 435-257-3016. Golden Spike Electric and Generac, power you can count on.
Winter is the perfect time to let the Allergy Clinic help with venom testing for next spring and summer. Test now and begin treatments to help with life-threatening stings from honeybees, yellow jackets, white-faced hornets, yellow hornets, and wasps. The Allergy Clinic has helped thousands of people enjoy the outdoors worry-free. The Allergy Clinic in 2 locations, North Logan and Providence, accepts most insurance, including SelectMed. Call the Allergy Clinic at 753-7880. That's 753-7880.
What can a business technology partner do for you? Well, a great one like Les Olson IT will help you become more efficient, more secure, and help you stay on top of your network. Plus, they have all the products and services you need. Computers, servers, business telephones, surveillance cameras, office applications are just the start. Les Olson IT's network cabling team can help you build a network from scratch or improve your existing network. Learn more about your office technology partner at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
Renegade Rentals in Brigham City is hosting a Demo Days open house this Friday. Stop for lunch, 2 hours only, 11 to 1 for burgers and drinks on Renegade Rentals. Check out the latest from Echo, Hustler, and Toro with reps on site to demonstrate and answer all your questions. Whether you're tackling a do-it-yourself project or professional job, Renegade Rentals has the tools you need to get it done right. Don't miss out. Renegade Rentals in Brigham City, Friday, 11 to 1.
We're here to help.
75 North, 500 West in Brigham for demo days at Renegade Rentals.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Yeah, the big news today, Mason Falslev has put his name in the transfer portal. Doesn't necessarily mean he is gone, but the odds of him sticking around are slim.
Yeah, you'd think about 70-80% chance that he's gone. Like, chance that he comes back, but guys do turn around and come back, but not very often. Like, it's rare. Like, people say, oh, they come back, and they point out Devin Tompkins. I almost forgot his name.
DT, yeah.
Name, like, one other.
Yeah.
Actually, I just thought of another, Max Shulga. But the point still stands.
Yeah.
So
it's rare. Doesn't happen very
so
often.
I thought of a couple. So name like 3 or 4. Over like a 5 or 6 year span where these transfers have become more and more and more common, you can think of and of all the guys that have entered the portal, basically none come back. They do, but it's rare. So don't get your hopes up about Mason coming back. But obviously don't dismiss him and start sending him hateful messages, which don't do that anyway, because that's just being an idiot.
It's dumb. Now, on Monday, this is according to Verbal Commits, who tracks all this. On Monday, there were 830 names in the portal.
Yeah.
As of earlier today, over 1,000.
Yeah, we crossed over 1,000 yesterday, I think. So it's and the portal's been open for a week and a half-ish, roughly. I think it opened last Monday. So
it opened up right after conference tournaments.
Yeah, so it
would have been Monday.
Last Monday, I think, was when it opened.
So a week and a few days.
1,000 players in a week, essentially. That tells you just how crazy it is. And a lot of those are transfers who are just looking for a better spot. But so many of those, my social media feeds are stuffed to the brim with, oh, here's a really good mid-major player who played really well, second team all SWAC, and they're transferring, somewhere else. And it's it's kind of the life of mid-majors. The second somebody plays good on your team, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the frustrating part. You can't get attached to players anymore because, like when I talked about Deaton Thomas and JT Topham, the future of the conference, asterisk, if they stay. Although Thomas has confirmed he's staying. He confirmed that at the Mountain West tournament. Toppin, I don't know. I don't know if he said anything, but freshman of the year last year in the conference left Nevada.
Yeah.
So
what other, we kind of teased this going to the break. There are other notable players throughout the Mountain West who have entered the portal. Mashburn at New Mexico, probably one of the more higher profile players to put his name in the portal.
Yeah, probably your biggest, just glancing over the list that we've seen so far, Jamal Mashburn, Ritas Petritis is probably one of the other big ones where he put up a lot of really great numbers for kind of a lackluster Air Force team, but Petritis has been a very versatile, good overall player for a couple of years now. A lot of Fresno State's good players, one of their big guys whose names I can't pronounce. I think 3 key rotation players, another guy. San Jose State, they've been hit super hard where they're losing Myron Amy, who's their leading scorer, Cardenas, their top assist guy, a couple other notable rotation guys. And then Wyoming getting hit pretty hard. Brendan Wenzel leaving, Caden Powell. So several teams in the Mountain West losing key guys, but I think Utah State, as far as top teams in the Mountain West, they kind of joined New Mexico because New Mexico lost one of their key guys. Utah State has now lost one of their key guys, but most of the rest of the Mountain West hasn't really seen any major impact yet. Because you've only got Petritis, Mashburn, and Falslev are really the most notable guys to transfer away so far. Maybe throw in Amy or Cardenas in there as well, but star players, I guess, Mashburn and Falslev.
Yeah, and Utah State is not immune to this. As we said, over 1,000 players are already in the portal. Even just looking through the list, there's a number of players off of Colorado's team that played their way into the NCAA tournament, won the opening round, the first four, played well, and won the first round, the dramatic buzzer beater, basically. Number of their key guys from that team are putting their names in the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's like even good teams that keep their coach lose their players. And I guess even power conference schools.
Yep.
So I don't know why it is that those guys would leave, because well, why are you leaving? You're in a good situation. You're in a good spot. Then they leave anyway. It makes sense when a team like, San Jose State, they're kind of a team that really struggled, so they're all just going to kind of go their separate ways. Wyoming, kind of similar. Wyoming's dealt with this for 2 straight years now, where they had a struggling team and they lost basically everybody, and they had to replace their most of their entire roster. Not to the same extreme as Utah State, but teams that don't necessarily lose their head coach, but they had a bad season, so they all leave. Then you have some good teams that lose their head coach, and then everybody leaves. Then you have a good team and a good coach, and they stay, and they all leave anyway. I don't know. It feels like sometimes you find a rhyme or reason to the transfer portal, and then it doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah. Besides players on the move, what about coaches? We'll take a time out here on the Full Court Press and look at the latest in the rumors surrounding coaches throughout the Mountain West Conference next here on the Full Court Press.
Devotion to country, service to Utah. Brent Orrin Hatch had a front row seat watching his father serve our state faithfully in the Senate. A constitutional conservative and lifelong Republican, Brent Orrin Hatch is a champion for the rule of law. He's running for Senate to stop this lawless president from destroying our country from within. Hatch will fight to secure the border once and for all and take on Mexican drug cartels to halt the flow of deadly fentanyl. Brent Orrin Hatch knows the national debt is just as big a threat to national security. Hatch won't rest until the budget's balanced and won't cave to the big spenders in both parties. Pro-life, deeply committed to religious liberty, rock-solid Utah conservative. Brent Orrin Hatch for Senate. Paid for by Conservative Outsider PAC, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.copac.us.
For more than a century, couples have shopped at S. Needham Jewelers for their diamond engagement ring. We have the largest selection of exclusive engagement rings in the area. Also, with the use of state-of-the-art technology, we're able to custom make with precision the ring of your dreams. You'll be able to work with our award-winning jewelry designer, Joseph Needham. You will also enjoy a vast selection of loose diamonds, allowing you to choose an affordable price range. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Find the parts and oil to keep your cars and equipment running smoothly at Napa Auto Parts. 5 locally owned locations between Preston and Providence. And last year, gold winner in the Best of Northern Utah in auto parts category. So players on the move. Mason Falslev, he's put his name in the transfer portal. What about coaches? Danny Sprinkle already gone. Could there be others? Nico Medved, Steve Alford, and Richard Pitino have been a few others who have been rumored to be coaches sought after to fill vacancies at several different Power 5 programs. And it looks like one of those programs, you can take one of those names off the list.
I think you can take 2 names off. Richard Pitino, he was rumored for the Louisville job. Obviously has ties to that through his family, but Louisville hiring Pat Kelsey, a name we actually mentioned yesterday as far as potential future Aggie coaches, but obviously he got the attention of some bigger schools. So Pitino not going anywhere because he's not been attached to any other potential jobs. And Steve Alford, his name kind of got bandied about a little bit.
For the Oklahoma State job.
Yeah, but he pretty much confirmed that he was staying because he released a statement about how he's building next year's team, which it would be weird as heck if he would put out something like that and then leave, as if he was somehow referring to building somebody else's next year's team. So Alford not going anywhere, Patino not going anywhere. Medved, I don't know what other coaching jobs he's necessarily attached to. Maybe he leaves, maybe he doesn't. But doesn't seem to be a hot candidate for anything right now.
Seems to always be discussed as an opportunity, but
like he makes the short list, but never the top of the list.
Yes, never seems to advance much further than that. So I guess to interpret that how you may, but Utah State still looking for their head coach. In fact, there's a wrinkle in that may be causing a bit of a delay in that, and we can discuss this next hour, but Utah State's athletic director, sad news, Diana Sabo is attending to her son in Ohio, is going through cancer. Sad story there. So we'll try to get into more details on that. And Jason, you've had a chance to go see some Utah State football. We haven't had a chance to talk too much about that for spring practices, so we'll get into that next hour as well. And the Utah Jazz, they're in action tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. Is this going to be their last plausible chance at getting a win before the end of the season? We need to talk about the Utah Jazz a little bit later on as well. So stick around. This coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. A day after the NFL passed new rules regarding the kickoff and the controversial hip-drop tackling technique in quest of player safety, the league appears to have backtracked. Since its inception in 2006, there have been plenty of concerns around the rapid turnaround of Thursday Night Football. 17-game schedule already creates tremendous stress on an athlete's body, and that's with a full week of rest. That has helped form a massive amount of controversy surrounding games being played on a short work week. But with the money pouring in at an unprecedented pace, the league has continued to look the other way. The NFL continues to push the envelope and did so yesterday, the addition of 2 Wednesday games to capture the Christmas Day audience. Unless accommodations are made, that turnaround will be extremely taxing on the player's body deep into the season. Take into account the rumors of a possible 18-game schedule, and it's clear the NFL's priority isn't safety, it's money. But can we really be surprised? I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.